Welcome back to Couch Critic. It's been a long time coming, man. I've been waiting to do for this a long time. I've kind of like used the pandemic as an opportunity to step away from making videos, just to observe it and be, respectful of what's going on. But I am back, and I have some special guests with me. I have my man Dan Silva from the Chelsea Trust and Chelsea Fancast, and we have my man Mo from the Blue Lounge TV.
Hey,
Dan, what have you been up to, man?
Me, just like working from home, trying to get rid of the pandemic. I've got Chelsea versus Palace in 2 weeks, so massively excited to be back to Stamford Bridge with a full house. Normality's beginning to return, which is fantastic. The last sort of 15 months, I mean, the football's been one of the biggest misses, not being there, not being able to enjoy your Saturdays or your Sundays at Stamford Bridge. So yeah, exciting times. Hopefully normal life is returning very soon.
Yes, no doubt. I'm very envious of the fact that you're going to be at that Palace game. I mean, if I could teleport, I would be there. But unfortunately, the guy that's supposed to be inventing that is a little bit slow right now. So we're going to have to wait.
Jeff Bezos.
Exactly. So Mo, what's going on, man?
All right, man. Yeah, I'm good. Trying to get back to normality, like Dan Silva just said. Looking forward to a proper season of football where we have fans in the stadiums, where we have the passion and the atmosphere kind of slowly going back to normal in regards to football and in regards to life in general. Looking forward to seeing some of these signings that we made last season, playing in front of the home fans at Stamford Bridge. So looking forward to the season. And in regards to the Blue Lounge, formerly of Baggy TV, now rebranded to Blue Lounge, trying to build up the fan base and trying to help the fan base keep in touch with our favorite club.
Yeah, so, man, you're doing a great job of that too. Like, I find you're one of the few channels that actually haven't really made the Chelsea fan experience exclusive. It's like very open. You come on and say your piece, which is a great experience always. I always love being a part of it as well. So keep that going, and let's grow that as well. So we had that game today against Arsenal, and we did see a few players that are on the bubble get a few opportunities today. So we're just going to focus on that. There's been a lot of talk about like what Chelsea need to do in the transfer market, but I think we need to try and look at what's happening in and around the club right now, with the players that we have coming back from loan, players that are kind of like I said, on the bubble, and, just trying to evaluate that. So with no further ado, we're going to start with players that we want as keepers. So people that we want to keep at the club this season. Dan, why don't you start?
Yeah, I think we'll start with goalkeepers at the back. I think Kepa needs to stay because we're going to lose Mendy for probably January for the AFCONs. So we need to have a really decent, a stronger backup than, a third choice Bettinelli. So I think he comes in, he'll play maybe like 6-7 games, just a chance to kind of reestablish himself in that period and maybe, get himself a move for next season. So yeah, Kepa needs to stay just to give us that a good, relatively reliable, hopefully reliable backup. Or despite the fact he's had a tough 18 months, he's still, as long as people don't shoot from long range, he'll be all right.
Well said, and I would say that I would agree with that. I don't think that Chelsea have any in mind to ship him out the door. I mean, if they found a taker, it would be interesting, but I don't think there are very many takers for a 71 million pound keeper who's got like dinosaur arms, right?
Yeah, Papa Don wrists.
Like out of necessity, I think that he needs to stay as well. What are you thinking, Mo?
Yeah, I think Kepa is one of those players that divides the fan base, but he's also a very talented young footballer. Again, he's had a rough time of late, both on and off the pitch. Some of his social life antics have kind of affected his mindset, I guess, and it's made him slip up a couple of times. But I believe he seems to be a bit more determined and is willing to move forward this season and to fill the gap that's going to be apparent in January with Mendy going away for the AFCON. So I think he will have an opportunity to prove himself this season, and hopefully he can.
Yeah, some big games in that January schedule too. Some really, really big games. So yeah. So Mo, who do you have as somebody that you want to keep at the club? Somebody you want to see stay, who might be on the bubble right now?
Personally, I'm keen to see Ruben Loftus-Cheek being given the opportunity to stay. I think the performances he's put in pre-season have been quite positive. Today against Arsenal, he showed a good attitude to the game. His run with the ball, his positioning off the ball. He did make a couple of mistakes, but it's pre-season and it can be expected, but I think generally he has a lot of potential moving forwards. He was also employed in the holding midfielder position, which isn't his regular position, and he did perform well in both fixtures against Bournemouth and against Arsenal in that position. So with us a little bit light in that area, with only 3 first-team players. Kovacic, Jorginho, and Kante. Ruben Loftus-Cheek might not be a bad 4th choice in that position as well.
Fair. Dan, you want to come in?
Yeah. I think Ruben's got complete midfielder. I think he could come from deep and break the lines as a holding midfielder. He gives us some height and strength, which we perhaps lack in midfield, because Jorginho, Kovacic, Kante, they're not particularly tall. Jorginho, we know, is very lightweight when it comes to sort of getting his footed. So yeah, listen, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, given he's had a horrendous time since the injury in Boston, absolutely fantastic to see him have an impact proper breakthrough the season like he did before the injury. He had I think he had 40 games that season, which is his best ever start for Chelsea. Yeah, love to see Ruben, come back in and give us a bit more, bite and options in midfield.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that myself as well. I would say that his inclusion in the squad would probably put Kovacic's position under direct threat in terms of ranking. I know we usually go with a 2, but I think that they're both pretty similar in terms of like what they like to do on the ball. They're both shuttlers. They both like to get forward with the ball. But I think that Ruben is he's a better finisher. Let's just be honest. He give us a little bit more in the final third. And of course, his stature is also something that we could utilize. Set pieces and whatnot. Yeah, he was one of the guys that I was actually thinking of selecting as well, somebody that we should keep. If there's one guy that I want to see in that midfield get a chance in that particular role, it's him, because his body type is just well suited for it. And he's obviously an excellent dribbler.
This season coming requires a lot of squad depth because we have a big season. We have multiple competitions that we're in. And having a big squad is required. And I think Ruben Loftus-Cheek will not do us any harm having him in there as for squad depth purposes anyway.
I'm going to go a little bit more controversial. I think the midfield area is, like what we said, is kind of thin right now. And without any real signings coming in as it looks right now, I'm going to say Danny Drinkwater is somebody that we're going to have to give a decent look as a guy that we keep. And not so much as a guy that we can use as a rotational, just somebody that can just be in the squad as, say, somebody gets injured, a couple injuries here, we have somebody that can fill in that's experienced in that particular role. We saw him in the preseason games. Dan's already shaking his head. He's like, no chance. Yeah. I agree. In terms of what he offers on the pitch for a club like Chelsea, there's not really much that you can go on there. But in terms of a guy that it could just be a squad guy, your 23rd guy on the roster. We don't have a lot of midfielders that can play the 6s right now, as far as I'm concerned. The guys that can play that Jorginho role, that can get us playing football, taking it over and whatnot. We don't have anyone out at the squad currently outside of Danny Drinkwater. And to be honest, I agree. He is a large, a huge step down, a huge step backwards in terms of what we need from that position. But I just think that we need to have at least one guy that is capable of playing that role should we have any sort of injuries and stuff like that. So I'm going to say Danny Drinkwater just on the basis of the fact that he looked okay in the preseason games and he understands the position. Simple and plain.
Yeah. My question is, what have you been drinking?
Not a lot of water. He looks dehydrated, man. Looks dehydrated, Dennis.
My son.
The header, he did go up with Shaq for the header. I just think he's just busted flush for us. I mean, his attitude stinks. I just don't think, if we got 4 players for 2, so you've got Loftus-Cheek, Kante, Kovacic, Jorginho, don't need a fifth player there, do we? He's done nothing to endear himself to any Chelsea fan. I just can't see it. I'd get rid. I'd almost give him a free transfer, get rid of him.
Who takes him on at those wages? I'm just saying, if you have a squad guy that won't complain about not playing, won't complain about being in and out of the team or out of the team completely, just a guy that's going to be, available for like training sessions, and then should we have like serious injuries, he's a guy that can rotate in, man. He's not going anywhere.
That's my biggest problem. He doesn't complain about not playing. I want players to be like, I want to be fucking playing. I want this attitude. I want to make myself so much that I can't get dropped. He doesn't want, I want players that are going to be knocking emotional things. Why aren't you playing me? I'm putting my bollocks in training every single day. That's what I want. I don't want somebody who's going to be happy to sit on the bench earning 80 grand a week. I want somebody who's going to fight. I want Drinkwater to fight.
Yeah, but at the same time, you're bringing in another 40 million pound player to be the fourth or fifth choice central midfielder when we have one here that we paid 35 for and we're not getting any use out of. So I just think that, I agree with you. Don't get it twisted. I do agree with you.
I know. Yeah, sure.
I just think in terms of just having squad depth and having this guy at the tail end of the roster, it's fine for me.
To be fair, Danny Drinkwater is a good player. At parts of his career, he had a very good career at Leicester. And he was a very good He had a very good partnership with Kante, and he performed really well in that Premier League winning season. That being said, since then things have gone downhill for him. I think the fame and the spotlight that shone on him since then, the transfer to a club like Chelsea has gone to his head, and I've seen a lot of antics off the pitch and a lot of reports in regards to him, doing things that he shouldn't be doing. Not a professional footballer that was representing his country as well as representing one of the biggest teams in London. So that part of his mindset worries me. I'm also concerned that might rub off on some of the younger lads in the team who could also take some of this negativity on board, and it might affect them. And I don't want to see that.
He was my choice just based on the fact that I think that we need somebody that can play that Jorginho role, and I don't see anyone at the club that can particularly do that well. So let's move on. Why don't we touch on players that we want to see loaned, who we think would be somebody that would be good to come back into the squad at a later date, but just currently aren't quite ready for first team football. Let's start with you, Mo.
Yeah, I would believe that Ampadu can do that. I think Ampadu is one of those players that has a lot of potential and a lot of room to improve, and I think he will be, and he could be, a first-team player for Chelsea if he is able to get the right opportunity. He can fill in defense as well as in the DM, and I think he's one of those players that could be big for Chelsea.
Fair. I think that a loan is warranted for him. I think that more often than not, what happens is when you go on loan, you have to kind of define the position for yourself. I think he has to define his football. He has to go on loan and define a position, define his football before he can come back into the first team. Right now, he's kind of playing the center back. He's kind of playing in the midfield, and he hasn't really been dominant in any particular role. Dan?
Brozier. I think he should have a loan at championship level. I don't think he's going to have anything to gain to become third, fourth striker off the bench. I think put him into a decent championship team or maybe lower half Premier League team. I think he'll develop because he's bulked himself up. Clearly got a talent. I think a good loan will see him potentially come back in the squad for next season.
Yeah, and he's been banging in goals in the preseason, right? Scored in every goal, every game he's played in. He looks a beast. His pace is frightening. Nobody knew that about him. At least I didn't. His pace is frightening, and he looks like he knows where the goal is. So yeah, again, if he can just get a little bit stronger and then go on loan and build on his confidence that he's showing right now, I think that he'd be a fantastic player to come back to Chelsea and challenge our now vacant striker role.
I think I would like to see Broha being added to the squad rather than sent out alone. I think the lack of firepower we have up front, he might be a good backup option. I'm feeling and I'm thinking, I'm seeing Tammy Abraham possibly leaving the club, and if that is the case, then Broha being on the roster as a rotational squad player might be a good idea.
Yeah, I can see that as well. It just depended on whether or not you think he's going to get enough games and to justify not not going out on loan. I don't know if there's going to be a lot, especially if we get that big man up front. And also the way Tuchel likes to play with the false nine and then the auxiliary strikers. But yeah, fair shout there. I actually went with Trevor Chalobah. I thought like in the 2 games that I've seen him in so far, he's asserted himself pretty well. He played in the middle, which was, obviously it takes a lot of composure and understanding to play in the middle of a 3. He did that today against Arsenal, and he didn't look out of place. Like he knew where the passes needed to go. You saw him directing traffic, which is always good to see from a young center back. But I just think that he needs to go out on loan and gain more experience, and he's just not going to get the playing time in this current like Chelsea setup. So if he can go on loan and assert himself, find maybe a championship, maybe not even a championship loan. If he can get a Premier League loan, that'd be great. I don't know if there's any spots available for him right now, but any loan potential that he can have, I think will only further his ability to get back into the first team at Chelsea. Any objections there?
No, definitely he needs another loan. He had a good spell at Ipswich last season. A loan at a better, follow a similar path to Reece James. Get him a really good loan like Reece James had. Make himself really part of the environment and the character of that team. And then who knows where he might be? He's definitely got more potential than Nathaniel Chalobah for sure.
Lastly, we're going to be talking about people that we want sold. And I'm going to start. I'm just going to say I think Zappacosta just needs to go. Whether it's just on a free or whatever, he needs to go, not only because he doesn't really add anything to our current style of football, but because he's also blocking some of our younger players from getting the opportunity to play right wing back right now, left wing back. I look at Dujon Sterling, a guy that's looked really well, really good as one of the 3 center backs in our back 3, but we all know that he's more of a right back, right wing back type player. So when he's not getting opportunities to play in his natural role because Zappacosta's in the squad, I think that is a telltale sign that he needs to go. I don't care where he goes. I don't care how much they sell him for. He just needs to get off the wage bill and give other opportunities to some of the players in the squad. Any objections there?
Nope. I'll drive him to the airport.
Yeah, no doubt.
I'll just say I'll pay for his Uber ride, but if you get driving.
Yeah, I'll drive him, it's fine. Yeah. He might get a better tip.
All right, Mo, do you have anyone that you think should be just outright sold?
Yeah, I think Ross Barkley definitely needs to be sold. Ross Barkley, for me, is a very good player. Very good player, has a lot of potential. Again, some antics off the pitch, but I think Ross Barkley is a player that can bring in a good price for Chelsea. So having him at Chelsea would not really make that much of a sense because it doesn't add nothing to our team, to our squad. But I think he will add a lot to other teams and other squads. And I think that would be a good bargaining chip for us to get a decent fee for him. And it will enable us to buy that elusive striker that we were looking for. So for me, Ross Barkley being sold would be a good way forward, or a good move forward for Chelsea Football Club.
Hell yeah, they should sell him to Arsenal. They need a number 10, man. Sell him to Arsenal, awesome. Man. Get him out of here. Did you have anything to add to that, Dan?
No, he's spot on. I just think he's flattered to deceive so many times. He's had good games, he's had bad games, he's had trouble off the pitch. As Mo was saying, about the harmony. We want the right attitude, the right players in the squad. And people like Ross Barkley, Danny Drinkwater, they're just for the young kids who are so impressionable. We need to kind of get them away from the club because they're getting in trouble in clubs and stuff like Mason Mount, Reece James, Callum. They're all generally great, well-behaved young men, and they don't need the bad influences of Ross and Danny Drinkwater about. So yeah, 100% agree.
With that in mind, who is it that you want to launch to the moon?
Abramovic. I mean, he's like Zappacosta and Abramovic, 2 full-backs, in the Bezos rocket to the moon. I think Rahman's been unlucky. I mean, he came with a lot of height. He's had some injuries, and he hasn't really got a chance to establish himself. I can't see him doing anything now. I like the thing is, between him and Mishi. I like Mishi because Mishi's a goal scorer. Can't do anything else at all, but he knows where the goal is. He'll score you goals.
I kind of tend to agree with that. I would also say that somebody like Baba Rahman, it's just like you said, like he's kind of been on loan for so long that he doesn't really have any sort of identity at Chelsea anymore.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense to keep him coming back. It's like doesn't really fit with the squad. Again, he's blocking players from getting minutes, and we have such a glut at left back as is, like between Alonso, Emerson, Chilwell, and of course Baba Rahman. So yeah, that if we could sell him, I tend to agree. That's somebody that we definitely should be looking to sell. It's just whether or not we have any takers, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. He's been with us for quite some time, and he's hardly had any first team appearances. And I think he's earning quite a bit of money as well. So getting him off the wage bill will definitely be a bonus for us.
And with that, I think we're going to wrap this up. And it's been great having you guys on. Dan, as always, my buddy. Hope to see you in London sometime soon, if I could get over there, of course.
I'll
still fighting with this. Well, you can do that as well. We're obviously fighting this pandemic off, but in the midst of that, I was able to find some decent people across the pond to connect with and build with. Look no further than Mo, another guy that has his own channel, Blue Lounge TV, which is definitely picking up some momentum and steam and whatnot. And it's close to, I think it's 7,000 subscribers now, or 8,000.
Yep.
In and around there. So yeah, keep an eye out for his channel as well. I usually try and guest on it myself. I love the connections that we're making here. That these are good people and people that are obviously 100% Chelsea, and which is why it just brings us all together. This one club, this great club, and it's fantastic to see that people from all over the world just all unified under this one incredible club and all pushing for the same thing. Just to wrap up, what are your aspirations for the season? Let's start with you, Dan. What do you think?
I think we're going to give City a real run for the title this year. I think if we get a striker, I think we're going to be 100% there or thereabouts. We've got, the last 30 games on Tuchel was quite a fantastic turnaround. We showed in some flashes of excellent football. I think we'll go deep in the Champions League again. I'd love to win the FA Cup. So yeah, I think a good challenge for the Premier League title, deep into Champions League, a domestic cup will be a good season.
Fair enough. Mo, how about yourself?
Yeah, no, I agree with Dan. But I think the striker situation is, the be and end all for us. If we don't get a striker, we're going to struggle. We're going to struggle to get top four, in my opinion. With a striker of the quality that we're aspiring to get, I think we will definitely be challenging for top four.
Yeah, I'm just of the opinion that everything, like Mo said, hinges on us getting a striker. All of our aspirations for this season hinges on us getting somebody that can finish off opportunities. And let's just hope that within the next coming weeks we get that sorted. Because if we do, man, it's going to be a fun season. But let's end up there, and thank you again for watching, and always subscribe, always like. We got Blue Lounge TV, we got Dan with the Chelsea Fancast, so we're also great people, Chidge and the boys, and of course the Chelsea Trust. But yeah, until then, you know what to do. Keep the blue flag flying high, and up the Chelsea. Peace.
Chelsea.
Peace out.